Welcome to Plot Armor Online, where authors log in, level up, and sling spells of prose across the realms of fantasy and sci-fi. Dive deep into world building, battle-broken character arcs, and explore magic systems that defy the laws of reality. And maybe logic, too. Each week, a new companion is summoned to raid the latest releases and roast tired tropes with fiery hot takes. Whether you're crafting the first chapter or slaughtering darlings in your 10th rewrite, grab your quill, equip your shield, and roll for initiative. This is Plot Armor Online, hosted by Kevin and Matthew, two scribes on a quest through the multiverse of authorship.
Hello and welcome. This is Plot Armor Online. My name is Kevin. We have our co-host here, Matthew. And
hello.
And this week we have our special guest right below me, Mr. Tyler Kirk. Yay! Everybody give him a round of applause.
Welcome, Tyler.
Welcome,
Thank you,
Tyler. So I do have to say that intro and everything kind of went off without a hitch so far.
Yeah.
But let's get into today. Today is episode 3 of Plot Armor Online. We have Tyler here as a special guest. We'll talk to him in a little bit later. But before that, let's kind of get into a little bit of what's going on. Man, let me tell you, this week, I don't know how y'all's guys' weeks were, but like I finished up a major project at my day job. I rolled out. I don't know. You remember last week, Matthew? I was telling you that I was doing that whole new server and everything.
Yep.
21 computers, redesignated to a new domain. 9 laptops, or not 9. 5 new laptops with accessories, docking stations. 4 new desktops, and the rest of them had to get migrated over. A whole Active Directory server created, a whole domain controllers, DNS and everything created, and it was finished Friday by lunchtime. I was like, oh, I'm going to go home. Celebrate.
Have that done.
Go home and celebrate. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I was doing it all by myself. It was
by yourself?
Yeah. On top of that, we also have like construction. You know, I had to send my worker home. We're doing our floors. We're redoing our floors because the previous owners of this house, we didn't realize it until it was too late, had redid the floors from a Snowmageddon event that happened back in like winter of like January, February of 2021. We had that Texas had that huge freeze come through.
Yeah.
Broke all the pipes. So
Snowmageddon in Texas?
Yeah. It was crazy, dude. Like
once in a century.
We were without power for like 2.5 weeks, man. Like, and then water for like at least
Texas?
Yeah.
No, Texas never has power problems.
Dude, it was like well, that's when they found out that all that what do they call it? The control people or whatever had sold it over to some crazies out of California or something. Who knows? Anyway, so they were like, we've never had an issue with power before. We've got our own nuclear power plant, like just a couple hours away from where I'm at right now, you know, and it's barely running at like 4%. But anyway, so when they redid the floors after that event, they put particle board down. So and then they never replaced the moisture barrier underneath the house. So it's like all that humidity and stuff throughout the years just disintegrated our floors.
Yeah.
We're having to replace that. That's fun.
Fun times.
What's been going on with either of you? Y'all got any news for this week that's happened?
Just moving full steam ahead on editing book 2, and
It's
yeah. Just the writer life.
Yeah, today's actually the 1 week anniversary now. The re-release of the Arsonist has been out officially for a week, and it's received
Right.
so much support. I'm really blown away. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not like
that's
I didn't. It's not that I thought it was gonna like not be well received. I just it's my debut book being that was like re-released as like a final special anniversary edition. I wasn't expecting it to be like that well received, and it's been incredible. It's definitely been really motivating because like uh, you guys, I've been working really hard on just editing and stuff on my works in progress. The second book of the series is um, been finished for a long time. There's like a few fine tunings that I'm doing to it, but all the support I've received recently has really motivated me to get that done because the sooner I get it off to alpha readers and eventually like editors and illustrators and all that stuff, the better, right?
yeah.
I'll
Right
definitely
on.
be I'll definitely be doing a title reveal for it soon, um, for book two,
Nice.
and probably after the dust is settled on this and enough people have gotten well acquainted with the Arsonist, and or maybe they're sick and tired of seeing it.
So
um,
so is the
That'd be a good
Arsonist
problem to have.
the full title, like the main title, or is that like the subtitle?
it's the subtitle. I call it the Arsonist because that's just what people notice. That the series is called Children of Strife,
Okay.
um, and book one is called the Arsonist. I'll be doing, like I said, a cover reveal for book two, or not a cover reveal. Sorry, not a cover reveal. Title reveal. Um,
Mhm.
in the near future, I'll also be reaching out to people in Fosha, probably through Discord, that have read The Arsonist when they're done to see if they would be interested in potentially being an alpha reader for at least the first parts of the new book. So that's something I'll be bringing up too in the near future.
Right on. Yeah. So
So
I'm looking
yeah,
at your. Hold on, I'm going to switch this over here for a second. So I'm looking at your Amazon page for the new Arsonist cover reveal, and it looks like you got 21 reviews so far, or 21 ratings.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
The 4.3 on
That's a
there.
great start.
That's
Wow.
pretty good. Most of
Very
those
nice.
art or most of those ARC or beta readers, or
No, so a lot of about honestly, all of those are from the initial release. So the Arsonist was my debut book 2 years ago. Um, can give a little bit of backstory if you guys want.
go for
This
it.
this is a re-release. It's a special edition version. It has obviously not just a new cover, but it has a lot of it has like a map in it and like chapter ornament graphics, and
Hmm.
it there's things in it that didn't make it the first time it was released that are in it. Basically, it's because when I released it 2 years ago, I didn't get to release it the way I originally wanted to, due to a lot of different reasons. Um, so there was that motivation to re-release it, and then there was also just the fact that a lot of people that know me know that after I released it, the next book I released the following year was The Vitamin Kid. So the series was kind of put on hold temporarily. So another reason why I did this re-release was to kind of bring Children of Strife back to the forefront, kind of bring it back to the front of people's minds that do follow me and support me, to kind of get them more reacquainted with it. I think there's some people that discover me through the Vitamin Kid that didn't know that I had this other thing. So to kind of reintroduce it. Um, so that was the reasoning behind doing this sort of re-release. And it was I did it on May 3rd, so a week ago, like I was saying, and that was the anniversary date, the 2 year anniversary date. So it's this special final edition version of the book.
I know we were kind of rooting for you. I had some stuff. A lot of these pictures. So hold on, let me bring it back up. These pictures were actually from last week. We were like, hey, yeah, this is blown up of the Arsonist cover, and we got when your picture that you posted on X from when you got your proof copy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was like, man, look at that hair. What's going on with that?
I had I have crazy hair. That's definitely, that was my windswept look. I was blown away by the cover. So
And then I
or
saw
the proof.
I saw this and I was like, man, I like that wanted poster. That was kind of like a cool little, teaser touch that you had
Yeah.
posted.
Yeah, that was
So,
cool.
It's fun.
yeah, and I had your vitamin kit. So I'll be honest, like whenever I first got into Fosha, and was trying to get to know everybody and was, brand new, just filling everything out. I thought that Vitamin Kid was like your only book, honestly. I remember seeing it and I
Yeah,
was like, oh,
a
that's
lot of
kind of
people
cool.
did.
And I don't know if you could see up here at the top that it, I had it checked out since March. Haven't-
Yeah.
with all these with all my day job projects and stuff going on, man, like by the time I get home, I'm so tired. And
I
I'm
get it.
surprised I find time to do this podcast. But hey, it is what it is.
But what you just said, that's the point. That's kind of the point. Like, you're not the only one. There's a lot of people that are like, yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know that you had this other book, right? Because I stopped promoting it and talking about it because I was doing the Vitamin Kid, and I've been working on getting the second Children of Strife book done. And I was thinking, I'm like, I'm going to release this book, and it's going to have been like almost 3 years since the first book came out. And a lot of people are going to be like, wait, there's another book? Like, when? Where? Why? So this is just sort of to reintroduce everybody back to it and just kind of be like, hey, and it's cool for me because, like, as the author, I get to do it my way this time. Like, I get to actually do it the way I wanted to. And that's really mostly just due to Hank, my artist collaborator, bringing all of this to life and helping me. Like, they did such a cool job with the cover, and they helped me bring the map that I hand drew to life, and they created all these cool little symbols to go inside the book's chapters and stuff. So
nice.
That's cool.
So if I remember, because I was it last week? Last week you were also on all caps chat with
yeah, with Tim
With
McKay and Isaac.
with those guys, and you were saying something about you have this guy. You almost did like the comic book character arc, like introduction to the guy. As
Yeah.
far as,
I mean, that's only, I was explaining that comic books were a big impact on me growing up. Like, they were a big influence on, and like I was explaining how they affect my creative process, because my creative process is very, like, it starts with character concept. Like, I have to start with a character before I start with like themes and worlds and all this other stuff. And I think that mainly comes from growing up reading comics. And so there's definitely a lot of comic book influence when creating the characters in this book, specifically like the Arsonist. And that was kind of the conversation we were having.
right on. Let's see. Sorry, I've got a huge number of windows and like 2 monitors. So bear with me here. So I mean, do you mind telling us a little bit about the book for those the
Yeah.
audience or whatnot that might not be privy
Yeah, of
to
course.
the book just yet?
Well, the first thing I'll say about it that seems to be the most popular element of the book for people on social media is it is a short book. It's like 266 pages long. It's not a long
Okay.
book. People, that seems to be a really good selling point, because a lot of people seem to really like short books, especially ones that are fantasy fiction. Because a lot of indie fantasy fiction books tend to be on like the longer side, apparently. As that's something I'm starting to see myself too, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but people seem to really like the shortness of the book. So there's that. It's a
Right on.
dark fantasy like themed story or genre. I should say. It has gothic elements to it, gothic horror elements. It's a story about young people in a bleak environment that is very beautiful but very supernatural, I guess, is a pretty good
Okay.
way I could describe it. It's hard. I don't want to spoil things because I know there's probably people listening that
I
are
would.
currently reading it, and
Don't don't
Do
don't
you have
go
a
too
blurb you
far.
can share?
Well,
yeah,
so
I mean, I could.
I've got his
sorry,
blurb from Amazon right here
Yeah.
on the screen. If you want me to, or if I don't know if Tyler can see, can you see that? If you want to read it, or I can read it for you.
Whatever's clever. I can read it. I have the book here on my desk too. I could read, or you could read it if you want to give it a try.
Let's hear it from the author's mouth.
Yeah. Author
All
reading
right.
the blurb.
So the back blurb says, in the realms of light, a dark rot spreads beneath a veneer of beauty. The arsonist, masked, elusive, and feared, leaves a trail of destruction in his wake. To some, he is a menace. To others, a shadow of salvation. As fiends ravage and ancient powers stir, the fates of four souls become inextricably bound to his. Reese, Lila, Thaniel, and Bragan will each grapple with their own demons, unaware that their paths are destined to cross in the most unexpected of ways. In this grim world where nothing is what it seems, survival is uncertain and the line between ally and enemy is ever shifting.
Nice.
Back burler.
Nice.
Dum dum dum. I swear I need to get that soundbite
The sound
from the Groods, belt.
but yeah, it's a dark fantasy novel with a bunch of different themes and elements going on in it. It was really cool, really fun to write. Like I said, it was my debut book, so I don't know. My goal with it is hopefully people that give it a chance will find it entertaining enough to want to give the second one a chance, because I think the second book in the series, which is coming close to an end, is, I think, the best thing I've ever written. I'm really excited about it.
So I also heard, and this is me totally cheating because I was watching their stream and I was like, oh, I'm so gonna like pull this on him. Mr. Tyler's, if I remember right, you're a Navy guy.
I am a Navy guy. That is true. And I cannot confirm nor deny that there is a Navy Easter egg in The Arsonist.
I was 15 years Army myself. I got medically retired.
Okay, cool.
But we worked with a lot of Navy. We were the missile defense guys that
okay,
told you where to shoot your SM3s.
Nice, very cool.
So how would you? And this was just a question that I thought. How would you say that your military service, did it have any impact on you as a writer or you becoming a writer?
I don't think it influenced me as a writer, but I think it influenced me to become a writer. I think the military teaches you things that you don't like pretty quickly, and it teaches you things you're good at pretty quickly. Because I think socially it puts a lot of limitations on you, and I believe that having boundaries and limitations actually pushes your creativity to places you wouldn't think it could go. And I mean, I've said this a few times, but the original first draft of The Arsonist, like as a character and as a short story, because that's originally where it started, was during my time in the Navy. And it wasn't until I went to college to study writing where it really kind of expanded from that point and went from a short story to a novel to a series. So yeah, I would say that military service definitely impacted my desire to become a writer. But I always wanted to do writing even before that. It was kind of something I was always interested in growing up and was really like considered good at by teachers and stuff growing up. So it's always been my passion to do it. And I think military definitely helped me. Like, I didn't do writing in the Navy. but I think getting to do it as like a form of escapism, like reading and writing, I think definitely pushed me to like want to pursue it more. And then getting to use the GI Bill to go to school to pursue writing. I mean, that was definitely a huge
Do you
turning
feel
point for me.
do you feel that the school like going to college helped you become a better writer, or maybe helped you with understanding a little bit of the techniques and tactics and all that other stuff that comes with writing?
Yeah, I truly believe that it did. I tell people this all the time that it definitely, if anything, it definitely expanded my horizon on reading. I read a lot growing up, and even like in high school and going into the Navy, and even being in the Navy, I read a lot of fantasy fiction. I was just telling people this week that have been asking me a lot about like what I was reading while I was writing this. That like last night I was on the Dad Lit podcast, and we talked about this exact thing actually, where going into the Navy and then I was reading the Game of Thrones books, and then as I got out, I had finished reading those and the Witcher books by Sapkowski. So
Mhm.
I would be lying to everybody if I said those didn't impact decisions I made with the Arsonist book,
Yeah, well,
which is,
there's
you know,
there's a lot of, and and a lot of writers don't admit it, but your output is heavily influenced on your input. So
yeah.
what,
So when people tell me like, hey, I've noticed like this chapter, this scene or this dialogue, this totally reminds me of, the Witcher. This totally reminds me of Game of Thrones. It's like, or A Song of Ice and Fire, for those who don't know that. But
right.
I'm like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me that you would see that, because I was processing all of those books while I was writing my own book. So it makes sense. But college it exposed me to a lot of other genres and books that I would have never known about, or at least never given a chance. And they didn't force me to do it. I tell people this all the time, because there's this idea that like you go to college, you're gonna be forced to read a bunch of books you don't like it's high school all over again. And I never had that experience. I was always given a lot of options at my university. The only stuff I was forced to read is stuff that you probably should be forced to read if you're gonna do a lot of writing, which is Shakespeare,
Mhm.
and a lot, and like old English, like Beowulf stuff.
I I used to have a I
But
used to have a
but yeah,
saying. I used to have a saying about college, which was like, man, like I'm gonna go back to school for cybersecurity, and that's what I have my degree in. It's like, but why in the world do I need to learn ancient British literature?
yeah, you shouldn't have to. But I think if you're going to school for writing, I mean, Shakespeare, he's the reason why we have so many words, right? Like the word bedroom exists because this guy was. I think he's worth studying. Like he
Well,
clearly contributed a
Definitely.
lot to the language.
I go back now, and I mean I joke about it, but a lot of that stuff. I mean, Beowulf was amazing. Like even going into the older stuff. You got the Iliad and the Odyssey, and there's
The
a lot
Green
of
Knight.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that a lot of people just take for granted while they're in high school, or whatever, when the first
They
time
don't
they
even
pick
show
it
you
up.
that stuff. When I was in high school, my high school experience, I went to public school in California, and the books I was for are the same
Condolences.
books. Exactly. The books I was forced to read were the books that everyone's aware of: To Kill a Mockingbird, The Great Gatsby, Of Mice and Men. Uh,
See, I
um,
remember doing that in middle school.
Hmm.
My high school, oh, what was it? My high school senior teacher. I remember we were doing a lot of the British literature, the original stuff like that. And she brought in a video, like you wheel in those carts, and we're like, yay, we're watching a movie today. And she popped in a VHS. That's gonna date me there. She she popped in a VHS that she recorded off of MTV,
oh
and
man.
it was Iron Maiden singing "Tale of the Ancient Mariner."
I,
And
I don't know. That's that's funny. My senior English teacher was pretty cool. Mr. Standifer was his name. He let us read some cool stuff when I was a senior. That was like the first, like, I got to read like The Catcher in the Rye and 1984 and all these books when I was a senior and junior in high school. My freshman and sophomore year, I was forced to read a bunch of stuff that everyone else complains about. I didn't. I'm weird because I see a lot of people praise To Kill a Mockingbird and they condemn The Great Gatsby. And like today, I like them both, but like growing up, I really did not like reading Kill a Mockingbird, and I loved reading The Great Gatsby. I don't know what that says about me, but when I was 15, that I was like, man, To Kill a Mockingbird's. I think it's because I couldn't see past, like, it was just really sad, and The Great Gatsby to me was just really dramatic and not real. Like To Kill a Mockingbird was like real, and Great Gatsby's just like, this is like totally nobody lives like this. This is so like disconnected and not human.
It's so extravagant. Like what?
Yeah. Yeah, but it to me, Great Gatsby is like very like it's like fantastical. It's like I would, it was just kind of like escapism. Like, oh yeah, wouldn't it be cool to just go hang out at this dude's house and drink champagne all day, rather than To Kill a Mockingbird, where we're dealing with very real things that are happening in the world.
And then you could play the dark end on The Great Gatsby and kind of go into more, the portrait of Dorian Gray.
Yeah,
where he's throwing those huge balls, and then
portrait of Dorian Gray is great.
The immortal part of it. I was really twisted on the spin that what was it, the Penny Dreadful series that they'd had on Dorian Gray, but it was okay. I mean, I enjoyed the series. It was fun. Season 2 was kind of weird, but that's me.
I haven't watched it. I haven't watched the series. I'll be honest with you.
It is.
I mean, I don't. Me neither.
It is it is an amalgamation of a lot of your favorite, like old UK, like monster horror kind of books. So it's got like a little bit of Dracula, kind of
like
inspiration in there. It's got witchcraft. You get Dr. Frankenstein and his monster. You get the bride, and then you get Dorian Gray. You get a guy you get a guy from an American character that is, well, without spoiling it too much, but you get the American Werewolf in Paris kind of thrown in there.
American Werewolf in Paris.
But you're in ancient, or you're in like Victorian era, like early United States, like 17, the early mid 1700s, right before 17, not mid 7. I would probably say like early 1800s. I'm guessing is the timeline.
Okay.
So I mean, it's got a lot of great story arcs. It's got a lot of great, but it's all like mashed together, because the Penny Dreadfuls used to be like this like newsletter publication that they would pass out. That's why they were called the Penny Dreadfuls, because you could pick one up for like the old penny. And it'd be like a really small novelette, like excerpt that you could pick up from any extra read all about it guy, kid on the street corner. And it would have each episode or each series edition would have a new story, and that's where a lot of the the origins from some of this stuff happened before they went full, or they would take excerpts from it. You know what I mean? But there is a history of the Penny Dreadfuls, and that's where it came from. And that's kind of what they did, was they just kind of tossed it all together in one big, series. And it was fun. It was good. It was there's a lot of story stuff in there that's artful, that kind of really makes you think about it. But then there's some of it, if you know the original, the true origins of the story, you're just like, it's not really how that happened, but okay, I'm watching it. So with all of that going into, let's move into our next, unless you've got anything else that you want to add or talk about, Tyler. I think we're ready for our deep dive topic. And let's switch our video thing and let's talk about plotting versus pantsing.
Oh yeah.
The
So what we
pantsing
got-
thing, we gotta come up with a new name for that. I feel like
Well,
wait.
the other term for
writers-
it is discovery writing. That's kind of the
you have,
socially acceptable word, but I like pantsing.
are
you like pantsing?
do you enjoy plotting your story, or do you enjoy discovering it as you go? Or you could just say pantsing and behold, here's my pants.
Oh, here's my pants. I'm more of a plotter. I would consider myself team plotter or definitely a plotter, but I also I was talking to somebody about this on X recently. I'm a little bit of a hybrid in that I will do all the plotting, but there's sometimes where I'll get to points where in the plot where I like not really happy with the design choice of something, and the muse will just hit me and I'll decide to kind of take it a
Wing it.
different direction, I
Kind of
guess.
wing it as
Yeah.
you go during that
Well,
section.
not the entire arc. It's more of like, let's say I have like a 20-step process and I get to step 12 and I go, what the hell am I doing? Why did I decide to do this? It would make more sense to do this. I'll change it, and then when I get this, and then I'll get back to my course of like, all right, step 13, step 14. So I'm definitely more of a plotter, but I am not a strict plotter where there's some people where they make a plot and they don't deviate from it. They're like religiously held to this plot, like as if they signed a contract. I'm definitely not like that. It's like I plot, and then if there's some deviations or changes that need to be made, I'm fluid and I'm willing to change some things up.
No, it has
So
to be
cool.
like this.
Yeah.
I like to think of it as kind of like this scale where you've got plotting on one end and pantsing on the other, or discovery writing if you don't like pantsing. And so I think of it as like a sliding scale of 1 to 10, where if 1 is pantsing and 10 is plotting, where are you on there? Because there's no such thing as 100% on either one of those. At some
You'd
point,
be surprised. I've
I'd
met
like-
some people that there's even some big names like Stephen King is like full pantser. He is openly
well, what I
anti-plot.
mean, what I mean by there's no one 100%. It's like he knows what story he's writing and what the characters' names are before he sits down and starts writing.
That's
right?
fair. Yeah, that's
Even
fair.
if the amount of plotting is just like a few bullet points on a page somewhere,
So
you got some plotting. And even if the only pantsing you're doing is when you're actually sitting down and typing and everything else is plotted out, at some point you have to actually write the story. You can't plot it down word for word.
That's true.
On the scale of plotting, you have 100% plotter. You have like let's go with the ultimate granddaddy of plotters, and let's just throw Tolkien in that spot.
I was gonna say
Okay.
Tolkien was a plotter, man.
Let's
He was a big
that's definitely a
plotter.
10 on there.
let's throw
Maybe
Tolkien
11.
as Tolkien is 10, right? Because you've got decades upon decades of plot.
I would put Stephen King as a 1 because although you're right, he does sit down with an idea. He said sometimes that like he sits down, he doesn't even know certain characters' names. They just come to him while he's
Sure,
writing.
yeah.
And then on the far extreme of pantser, you have Stephen King. So like between Stephen King and Tolkien, where do you fall in that line of how you write?
I think I'm more like George R. R. Martin. I'm at like a 7 because it's like I'm a plotter, but like sometimes shit happens that because it makes more sense for some. Like I'm very like anti-plot armor. If I plot a scene and then I get to that scene, I go, wait a minute, it would be impossible for this guy to survive this. That guy's probably gonna die. Like because I don't know. I'm not a big. It's ironic because we're on
Plot
armor
online.
online.
I don't like plot armor.
Well, this is
But-
my argument with the plot armor thing is that every character has plot armor. Like no
Sure,
character's going to die
sure.
until the author wants them to, and that's
It's true.
okay. And you're describing exactly the good kind of plot armor, which is you realize that this is unbelievable, and so you have to change the plot
Yeah.
to armor up your characters so that it makes sense for them to
Even
survive.
even George R. R. Martin had plot armor on Jon
did.
Snow.
Yep.
Jon Snow,
He
one
did.
of the main characters
Well-
during that little section, straight up was murdered, and then here comes plot armor.
That's the show, though.
He was
That's the
resurrected.
show, though.
Yeah, I haven't.
We don't know that we don't have Winds of Winter yet. Winds of Winter, people have joked like we could get Winds of Winter, and it's like John's dead. He ain't coming back. I mean, he probably
Right.
will, but you know what I mean. I don't.
So
Yeah, I don't know.
I fall kind of in the middle. And I don't know. I'm a huge outliner. What I start my book with an idea. Like I'll write down an idea or a concept that might be like a page, like maybe a paragraph or a page and a half long. So I have almost the whole book's idea from start to finish, kind of like just concept out. Very, very, very rough draft. And then what I do is I take that and I just kind of, zoom into it and say, okay, this is in the beginning, this is middle, this is whatever. And I start to create like a timeline. And then I might add, subplots or I need some extra characters in there. And then when I get it all the way, I get it plotted all the way down to, I guess what you could say, you would be like chapters, or, almost scenes like, hey, I want to have a scene doing this. But then, that just kind of gives me the guideline. And then as I'm writing it is just completely, yeah, I have the concept, I have the idea, but like as I'm writing it within those boundaries, I'm completely pantsing it.
That makes sense. Yeah, like I'm not exactly the same, but I get what you're saying. I'm like similar. Like I said, I'm definitely not really in the middle. I'm definitely leaning more towards plotting, but I'm not a full-fledged like Tolkien plotter.
Few people are.
I
A
will.
rare degree.
Yeah, it's definitely rare. I would say it's a lot rarer today. I think back in that day, though, like back in the times of C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, I think it was probably a lot more actually common, just because those people they were less distracted. Maybe I don't know. A lot of I say that because a lot of the authors that I've read from that time, they, based off things they've said, they seem to be really big into plotting. And I think the idea of like the pantser has become a lot more prevalent lately. This idea of like, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say like back then too, you have a lot of books that follow a very strong or like very well used outlines. Like you have, okay, we know this works. If I'm going to do not a Shakespeare, but well, yeah, let's use Shakespeare. Hamlet. Oh my God.
Hamlet.
How many stories out there are literally Hamlet rewritten?
Yeah, Hamlet is a rewritten version of Hamlet.
Even Hamlet is a rewritten version. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, though. I think this idea of like writing when the muse hits you and just letting it kind of take you down a bunch of rabbit holes. I'm sure that's always existed, but I think it's become a lot more common and prevalent today, from what I've noticed. I've met a lot of indie authors on X that are like that. I can't relate. I think I'm too OCD or something. Like I don't know. I like to have things planned.
So I have a question for you, Tyler, because I have a little bit of a working theory on this, and I'd love to have it disproven if possible. So, are you aware of Fantasia and aphantasia? Do you know what those terms are?
I'm familiar with the term Fantasia.
So aphantasia is the inability to imagine things. It's just like a blank mindscape.
It's like anti-Fantasia then?
Correct. So Fantasia is the ability to imagine stuff.
Right.
Aphantasia is the inability to imagine stuff.
I was trying to figure out what so would like aphantasia be like anti-Fantasia?
It's not anti. It's just it's without. There is no Fantasia. And so
gotcha.
Where would you put yourself on a scale? Let's do the same scale, 1 to 10, where your ability to imagine things, the clarity with which you see in your imagination. How high is that on a scale of 1 to 10? I think it's kind of more. I don't know if you've seen those images of like the apple, where it's like, which version of the apple do you see in your mind? That kind of stuff.
I definitely say I'm more on the Fantasia side. Like, if I'm understanding your question correctly, I would definitely say I'm more on the Fantasia side.
You have very vivid imagination.
Oh yeah. I mean, the
Okay.
the arsonist character almost came on like a dream. Like I woke up and was just like had this dream and like vivid ideas of like a setting and a scene and a character idea, and like I just kind of needed to get it down. But that's like concepting, like I could definitely relate
Right.
more to like being super imaginative pantser type when it comes to concepting, but like but like I have to have structure when it comes to writing a whole novel, right? Like I was telling somebody recently, I could definitely be a pantser with like a short story. Like if you said I need a 15-page short story, I could do that. I could just create something, right? But to do something sustainable like a 300-page novel, I need
Yeah,
structure
harder.
in it.
Like
Yeah,
this.
because which is why I would say I'm more Fantasia, because if I need that kind of grounding, like I need concrete shoes, like I need an anchor to keep me down because I will fly off into space. I'll get carried away and forget where I'm at. You know,
Hmm.
My mind when I get in the zone is so just like weird. That's the easiest way to put it. My imagination goes in so many different directions when I'm actually like sitting down to write some stuff. And it usually goes in the darker realm, but a lot of that is a huge, like growing up, huge fan of Dungeons and Dragons, huge fan of like role playing games. Played almost all the Forgotten Realms video games from like the mid 90s all the way to close to present.
classics.
Yeah, I had the 5 1/4 inch floppies, 16 of them for,
Yeah.
or the hard disk, was it 3.5 inch floppies, all 36 of them for the Eye of the Beholder to install on DOS. Um, but anyway, it's just like those, and growing up reading like R.A. Salvatore and like dealing with the darkness of Drist as he was dealing with the
A great character, by the way.
revelations of the results of his actions. I get we'll leave it at that, right?
We'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Um, I don't, because if anybody hasn't read, any of those books, I don't want to give too much away,
They're
but
great.
every almost major act or major section, there's a reflections part where Drist is writing in his journal, and I don't know how many. And I said it before, and I want to say it was on our first episode, so that not a whole lot of people said it, so I'll repeat it. When I was in the service, when I was in the army, I was reading through almost every single one of his books, and I don't know how many times, like the guy, what was it? 13 blades, 13 something. It was the one
You got
where
to
it was
call Russell.
right. Yeah,
Russell, no.
Where's Russell Carroll when you need him? He's usually
Yeah.
like around here somewhere. Is he walking his dogs?
He's sitting in front of a bookshelf with all of the books. He could just go and
There
pull
you
up.
go.
Like, oh, it was volume this. Because I read
Yeah.
all those books too, but I was so young when I read all those in the Dragonlance books that like I remember the characters better than most things
It's
and the
been
core elements. But
it's been a few, like it's been a couple decades since I've read them, but I wanted the Hunter's Blade trilogy. I think that sounds right. Uh I want to say it was the Hunter's Blade trilogy. Like we had that copy at the CQ desk, for charge of quarters. Like that's, like if you're sitting there on 24-hour watch, watching the
yeah,
barracks and stuff, that book was that and a couple others was sitting right there on the desk. So I mean
that's cool.
that's what I was trying to get at anyway. But those revelations, those journal entries, like I don't know how many times, like that kind of like spoke to me, because when you're dealing with like, because I was in Iraq, I was in combat, and we lost a few brothers while we were over there. So like those type of actions and those consequences, those life scenarios that not a whole lot of people, experience except through the course of reading or other matters of ingesting literature. Um, really resonated with me, and it helped me a lot growing up. So like because he deals with the loss of friends, he deals with the loss of life, and he may or may not have had taken. Like, just read the books. Read the books. They're great. They're wonderful. um, and hopefully I'll get it out here like probably later this year. But my debut novel that I'm working on, the Eldritch Knight, or the Order of the Eldritch series, is I actually do a hat tip to Mr. Salvatore in a
I
couple
mean,
areas.
you gotta have Russell on here then to talk
Oh,
about. You guys
he's read it.
could spend the whole time talking about. Oh,
No,
I'm sure he has.
Russell has read parts of my first act.
Oh, okay.
And he's, so I'm waiting. I'm actually doing some behind the scenes writing to further do it so I can surprise him later. But no, he actually he read it, provided a lot of great feedback, and I went back and I rewrote some sections.
That doesn't surprise me. He's a very supportive person in the community, and he loves that genre style.
So twisting into another direction. Sorry, I'm trying to keep us on time here without going too much. Let's move into a concept of plotting, or plot armor, we should say, that we have dubbed the Plotar Moron line. Which is an amalgamation.
Plotar Moron line.
The amount it's kind of like a play on our Plot Armor Online's name. But what we're calling it, this is a trope. This is a concept of trope. It is the line of which, that horizontal one scale of 1 to 10 that goes, you got your horizontal and then you got your vertical line. This is that line that goes straight up the middle.
I think we lost him. Oh no.
We're back after these messages.
Hopefully we didn't.
Oh, hold on. Drop frame.
Actually interviews people with aphantasia and hyperphantasia.
Okay.
And
cool.
He discusses it a lot. It's a lot of fun. I've been on there a few times.
Okay. I'm pretty sure we're back online, but I can't.
We're online.
There's some stuff that, hold on, it might be coming up. I'm hoping that it's just going back into the same chat feed, but it says we're streaming and recording, and it didn't prompt for all the extra new stuff. So that's a good thing, maybe. We were almost up to 40 viewers on Twitch. I don't know if you saw that. Or
oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, hopefully they'll be back.
Hopefully. So, I'll have to splice these videos together.
Sorry about the technical difficulties, everybody.
Yeah. So yeah, I tried to go full Plotar. The energy.
Never go full Plotar.
Never go.
I told you it was a bad idea.
Plotar more online.
Can't talk about it. You're not supposed to talk about Plotar.
Yeah, that's rule number 1 of the Right Club. Rule number 1 of Right Club.
Right.
Don't talk about Plotar Moron.
Don't talk about the point of no return while you're writing your characters. That in such an absurd manner, stuff happens with no consequence. Like, we're talking full plot armor here. Like Deadpool, for example, dies all the time. Reborn. Let's go with another example. Bella Dunn.
Wolverine?
Yeah. Wolverine.
He's similar to Deadpool, I guess. It's kind of like
essentially immortal. Yeah.
I mean, you can cut his head off, but it's not going to happen.
Bella Swan from the Twilight series. I mean, zero survival instinct. I mean, she has.
What about Superman?
She has. Superman's like the god complex. I guess.
They've killed Superman before, though, even in the movies.
Yeah.
So no Plotar more online for him.
I'm talking more along the lines of, like, you've got like Bella Swan, like from Twilight. Zero survival instincts, just walk straight into a vampire coven and werewolf forests like it's the mall or something.
Like it's the mall.
You got Homer Simpson, right? The textbook. This is the textbook definition of the line. he is the graduate. He is the almost the definer of the plot. Besides Peter Griffin, uh, does everything possible in the most idiotic fashion, and nothing happens to him ever. Like, dude works the intro. He's got radioactive like isotope bars going into his shirt, and nothing happens to him.
All just works out in the end.
I mean, I don't know.
It can
There's
be
definitely a lot of
intentional. It can be done for
characters.
fun, for silliness.
I feel like the Bella was an interesting example. I feel like all the other characters, though, there's like comedy elements to it.
Yeah, that it can be
True.
intentional. It can be comedy. I like to think of Arthur Dent in The Hitchhiker's Guide, right? Like this guy survives the whole Earth being blown up because because of a trip to the bar.
True.
It's like
Yeah, that's a good example.
So it's
yeah.
it's an introduction to a concept, and that's kind of what I was wanting to do, because it was like there has to be something. And the whole part of the Plotar Moron line actually came from when we were originally concepting the channel name, and Matthew was like, "There's moron in the name." And that got my brain going, and I was just like, oh wait, if you split it, take moron in as its own word, it has line and plotar in there. And I was like, oh, I could so do something with this. I'm gonna do something with this. And here we are. The most absurd anything that could happen to your character, like, who's another one? And mostly you're gonna see it in cartoons and anime and
Mr.
stuff.
Magoo.
Mr. Magoo.
Oh, you brought up Mr. Bean earlier too, right? It's like
Mr. Bean in the
no matter what
series.
stupid thing they do, it works out for him somehow.
I was gonna say, I feel like a lot of comedy that's gonna
Yeah.
happen. Like even Deadpool has a lot of comedy to it.
Yep.
Goku in the Dragon Ball series.
He dies a lot though.
But he always returns
Permanently.
and he always returns, and he's stronger after the fact.
Yeah, I guess that's like you could say the same thing about Superman and like Gandalf. I mean, if they die, isn't that not a consequence?
True.
And Goku loses a lot of people too. He doesn't just die; he loses a lot of his friends too. Some of them permanently.
But a lot of it is like, okay, he's gonna go and do something. Well, I guess what I'm trying to get at without character is that, like, when he goes and tries to do something, he doesn't think about the consequence when he does it, and I mean, probably does it, gets his ass whooped after.
So you're talking more about like the mentality of the character than like their approach to
a specific
like,
form
not
of
necessarily
plot
the
armor.
consequences of the plot device, but more of like their approach to the plot point.
Yeah,
like their
and,
mentality.
just something so absurd that happens is what I'm trying is like the concept of Plotar. Like,
I could agree with most of them. I don't know if I agree with the Goku one. I don't know, because like
Yeah, weigh in. I've never Dragon Ball Z'd, so
I think the Goku one requires a little bit of reaching.
What about
like
what about
I don't
Luffy
know.
from One Piece?
I have a hard time commenting on that one because I'm not a big One Piece fan.
Yeah,
I think
I haven't watched it thoroughly.
I think that counts.
I'm more of like 80s, 90s anime. I have this talk with Caradine on X all the time. Like anything produced after 2000, I'm not like very well versed in.
80. Okay, let me think.
Yeah, Luffy survives by like sheer
Luck.
positive hope. Just like nothing. Yeah.
So it's like all of us does it. Okay. So for that example, Ash Ketchum from Pokemon.
I was gonna say that Pokemon. I mean, you could definitely make that approach with Ash is like inexperienced. He has the most like unorthodox Pokemon lineup, and yet he just always seems to frickin' win. And
yeah, he forgets the type advantages of Pokemon versus other Pokemon and stuff.
Yeah,
and
so I mean,
somehow,
like,
there you go.
like he
even
still
like
pulls a win out of his pocket.
look at like the Pokemon movie with Mewtwo. That was such a huge. God, that was such a big part of my childhood. But like, watch the Pokemon movie, right? Like Ash's approach to everything in that movie you're just like, okay, you realize you're about to get your ass kicked. Yeah, I don't know.
It kind of makes you think, though. If you put, I mean, because there's always been those movies and those story plots and those timeline, comic books and stuff that we're looking at, and you're like, man, that is so ridiculously absurd, but it works.
Like, yeah, I think in books it's a lot harder to find though. I think that's more of like, I would argue it's more of like
Unless
a
it's intentional.
cartoon,
Yeah.
maybe comic book or cartoon thing. With books, I'm kind of struggling to find a really good book example of that. I think the Twilight was honestly probably your best example that I could think of.
The sad thing about that is that Twilight was originally a fanfic.
I know.
It was a fanfic that was rewritten, uh, so that it had like its own elements.
Yeah.
And no.
No.
It's the other way around.
No,
50 Shades of Grey was a fanfic.
You're thinking
version-
50 Shades of Grey of
Yeah,
Twilight.
but
Shades of Grey
Twilight-
was a fanfic of Twilight.
I thought my wife's a huge Twilight fan. She grew up with that stuff, and we've talked about it. And I could have swore, wasn't Stephanie Meyer like a fan of like writing like Interview with the Vampire fan fiction and stuff though before she wrote Twilight?
Might be.
The author,
Can't
not
say. I
necessarily
still
the
don't
story.
think it would be a fanfic though.
Yeah, those-
Okay. All right, fair enough.
not really my cup of tea as far as reading goes, but so I know about them because my wife likes to read that kind of stuff. She refers to it as her mommy porn. Oh no, I said the P word.
Uh-oh.
Twilight,
Now we're in
really?
trouble.
Gonna get disconnected here in a second.
That already happened.
The P word is Plotar. You already got disconnected for that.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Anyway, do we have chat? Do we still have people in chat? Hello, are y'all? Or did y'all come back to us, or are we just over here talking to ourselves?
You've been abandoned.
Probably.
Oh, it was so good, dude. The episode was going so good this week until Plotar.
You shouldn't have brought up Plotar. We should have stuck to Fantasia. See, this is why plotting wins. This is a proof. You tried to pants and go off into Plotar land.
I tried to pants the episode.
See, what you don't know is that he plotted this. It was planned.
It
was plotted.
Not
but the universe had other ideas.
Not the disconnection, but I plotted bringing it up. Anyway, so all right, so no community Q&A. Do we want to talk about the other stuff, or I mean, we can save that for another time. We could always have you back.
Yeah, I'm cool with whatever, man. I'm always down to do stuff like this. If I'm given enough notice, I enjoy doing these things. I enjoy just chatting with people in the community. So yeah, I'm always interested in doing things like this.
We had some.
Did you lose him again?
I lost his voice, but I can still see his camera moving.
No, it looks
there
like
you go.
it looks like it happens whenever I'm clicking out of like Streamlabs stuff. So I'm gonna have to start printing this stuff off.
Well, I've got one question for you, Tyler.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a recurring question
Shoot.
that I want to ask all the authors that we interview, and that is, how do you personally define success as an author? Because I think it's a little different for everyone, especially in the indie scene. So what does
it's
that mean?
totally different for every author, man. Every author that I've met on X has a completely different definition of what success is. I've met people that are like, you're not successful till you've got an agent. You're not successful till you become a bestseller. You're not successful unless your book reaches top 10 on Amazon or some shit. For me, I feel like I am succeeding. I wrote a book, more than one book. People are reading them. They're engaging with them. It's so like, it depends on the person. Like, I don't mean to get all philosophical or anything, but I mean, like,
No, that's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking you. What does it mean to you? Because it's going to be different for everyone, and that's okay. That's kind of the point of the question, is to
yeah, of
let
course.
people know that it's okay to have their own version of success.
for me, I feel like I am I'm in it. Like I'm experiencing the success. I would say being successful as an author is you wrote a book that was attractive, interesting, and compelling enough for a total stranger to consider giving it a chance. I mean, even if it's just one person, even if you only sell like 2 copies of your book, or maybe you don't even sell them, maybe you just give them away. The fact that people are willing to read it and then review it, those are 2 things that are super taken for granted nowadays. A lot, I don't know about you guys. I don't know a lot of people that read anymore. Like I think let me explain that a little bit. Let me like kind of dissect that a little bit. I think people today read more than they ever have before, but it's like the quality or choice of what they're reading. I don't think I don't think a lot of people take the time to sit and read like a full length novel as much as like on average. Obviously we do. That's 3 people. There's people that do, but like on average, no.
Too busy
Lost him again.
versus- We're talking 200,000 words. This was dedication. So
Okay, we're back. We're back.
welcome back.
Oh, welcome back.
Back just in time to wrap things up.
Actually, you know, we totally didn't even talk about reveals this week. We didn't even go into reveals this week.
Oh yeah, should we do that?
News.
Let's
We
do
just
it.
kind of jumped right into Tyler and was talking with Tyler. And
He's fun to talk to.
Who's that guy?
who's that guy? Um
We'll definitely have to have you back.
Yeah, I would love that.
Okay, so some news from Fosha. Get it up here. We have some cover reveals. So here we have. I don't know. Can you see these, Tyler?
I can. Yeah, Brave New Galaxy by Alex O'Connor.
Yeah, Brave New
From the
Galaxy.
Celestia Saga. Or Celestial Saga. Sorry, the L was a little hidden for me on my screen.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of. I mean, you read. I don't know. Might be easier to see, but I saw this going across, and a lot of these, you know, I haven't really had a whole lot of submissions directly to us, so I'm just kind of finding these on X and Discord as I go along. Saffron shared this the other day from Idiosyncrasy, her podcast booked,
Yeah.
or whatever. So she shared.
She's
this on her
awesome.
thing. Yeah, I think it was like a day or 2 ago. One of those. Anyway, so let me get. So next book cover. We have now this book's been out for a while, for a little bit anyway, and Danforth, Eldritch Tales of World War II, by Christopher Michael, and the reason why we have this up here is because he just released an audiobook, or the audiobook for this.
Sorry, I got excited. I was like, because I've definitely recognized the Christopher Michael and I have had some exchanges in the past. It's very exciting.
Well, we are going to actually have Christopher Michael on our podcast next week, May 17th.
It's awesome. Very cool. Can't wait to listen in.
Right. I've talked to him a little bit on Discord. And me and him kind of go back and forth because a lot of our stuff is that Lovecraftian, eldritch, kind of dark fantasy.
Yeah,
mine's a little bit more on the D&D Lovecraftian influence, with a little bit of like World of Warcraft and Forgotten Realms tossed in there. His is like straight up Lovecraft, Cthulhu, Asimov kind of influence on thing. I haven't had a chance to look this up, but I am definitely, it is on my to be read list. And I
Cool.
look forward to talking to him next week. Have Eyes Wide Open. This was a cover reveal that was, I don't know when it's going to be released or if it is being actively released right now, by Jan
Good luck.
Miklasovic. I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but
How dare you?
I know I'm terrible. Okay, so there's uh no idea what it's about. I think it was shared in like Macabre, like the Dark Veil. What's that uh horror thriller kind of
Mm.
genre? I think I might be wrong. Totally messing this up. But anyway, hey, here's one that was so this was kind of like posted as a mid grade um suspense kind of. So Mike Steele posted this, and the title of the book's called Not Lucille. High school kid is needing like some money. Synopsis for the book: high school kids needing some money and can't tell her parents what it's for, but trying to get the money from the parents. And like one of the things is like her mom's at home doing or somewhere doing online gambling or regular gambling or something along those lines. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, when you look at the cover, that kind of looks like a kid's book. But hey, that could be a very interesting twist on the mid grade. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
curious. Mid-grade horror, is that a thing? I don't.
I guess. Yeah, I've never heard of it before. Cool. I'm about it.
So here we have a kind of like a cover art reveal or art reveal
Ian.
for Mr. Ian Snow, the Chaos Walker. Hopefully we
Yes.
might be able to get him on here at some point. But
That would be cool.
I look forward to hearing more about this one. Again, it was another reveal artwork with like no concept of or I don't think concept's the word I'm
Ian's great.
looking for. Anyway, as we go, next one, The Clatterman by Janelle.
Oh, wait, that just came out. That's been popular, man. That book is
It did
blown
just
up
come
in the
out.
community.
Yeah. It's been out for like a couple days now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
It's it made it into like the top 5 for horror on Amazon.
Very nice.
Pretty big hit, smash hit. That's from the Dark Veil Society. They've got a lot of good stuff under their belt.
And then here we have ZS Diamante, Twisted Tales of the Familiar Faces, Scorned. It was revealed, hey, it's out. Here we
Nice.
go. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'll post it. I needed content for the reveal section, so I'm just kind of scrubbing through it. I don't know if he's a member of the Fosha or not, but I know it comes across on my feed. So it might have been from the writing community or something. Um, and
Yeah.
that's all the cover reveals. And in other news, we have a new pope that was elected this year or this week. It's a domestic short hair American. Sorry, I had to play some on that. I know there's a lot of controversy going around on that, but a little humor. It's a cat.
Humor is forbidden. Outlawed.
That was
this.
That was the Plotar line that I crossed right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Never
dude.
cross the Plotar line.
Anyway, so I don't have anything else this week. This is going to be an interesting splice for the video to when we go to upload it because I'm going to have like 3 different versions of video I'm going to have to import. Hopefully and we almost lost the entirety of your little question, Matthew's question to Tyler.
Oh man.
We got a little bit of it and then it just kind of died. But it is what it is. Hey, it's week 3 of Plot Armor Online. We are still having issues, And I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to go outside and find out that my wife was probably streaming on Facebook, uh, video video calling to somebody. So I'm sure that's the culprit right there. You would
All good,
think
man.
you would think that Starlink would have a little bit more stability, but I mean, when you live out in the middle of nowhere, that's kind of what you get, you know. Anyway,
I've used Starlink before. It's getting better, but it does tend to have like spottiness.
yeah. Anyway, well, hey Tyler, thank you for coming on the show. Hopefully,
Yeah,
maybe we'll get you back on here sometime if you want to guest spot and
sure.
talk with somebody else. We're working on trying to get the website up and going, which is literally just plotarmor.online. You
Yeah.
can go to it. I don't think there's a whole lot on there right now, but it is. You can look us up on YouTube, Twitch, and X, Instagram, Spotify, the whole nine. We're on all the socials. May or may not be posting on there, but we are active on a few others. And if you have any cover reveals, if you would like to be part of the show, like, subscribe, and also send an email to info@plotarmor.online, and you'll get directly to myself, and we can switch it between me and Matthew to, if you got cover reveals, news, anything you'd like for us to showcase, just send it to us. We'll get it on the show. I guarantee you. Unless it's the other non stuff that might be crossing the Plotar more online.
No more Plotar.
We're not
Yeah,
touching that line.
right. That's the last time it's ever mentioned. Is this episode?
Tyler,
We've just
congrats on the re-release.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you
Congrat-
guys.
Congratulations on the 1 week anniversary
Mm.
of the
Yeah.
2 year anniversary release
Yeah.
of the Arsonist. I look forward to reading it myself. I've got it in my Kindle. Um, and
Nice.
once and then I look hearing more about book 2 that you got working up.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I've been kind of telling people when I've already had some people reach out to me and tell me that they finished reading it this weekend.
Very nice.
In a week, which is pretty cool. I mean, it is a short book, so I guess that's not like a huge feat, but I think it's pretty cool. And they've been asking me about stuff about the second book, and I basically all I've really told people is that like second book things are gonna get weird. That's all I can really say right now.
Well, sometimes weird is cool.
Yeah.
My anthology entry, oh my, it's interesting. Like, yeah, it's gonna be that weird, interesting, scouting party interacts with the stuff.
Cool.
You'll see it. It's all up in there. Nicole already has it, I believe.
Cool.
Nice.
Anyway, so we'll sign off with this. Thank you for coming on the show, Tyler.
Yeah.
Hopefully next week will be better. We're getting better every week.
Good.
At least
Progress.
progress. But
What is John Douglas or John Douglas? He always says on Twitter, progress, not perfection, or something like that.
Yeah.
well, practice makes permanent. So perfect practice makes permanent.
I like that.
Perfect
Repetition.
permanent results. Yeah, because
Rep-
if you practice it wrong, you're going to
Complicated.
make wrong permanent.
Repetition is the
Yep.
father of learning.
Right. So, with that being said, I bid y'all adieu. Y'all have a great and wonderful Saturday, and enjoy the rest of your thing. We'll see y'all next week.
See ya.
Keep writing.